motivation that you had to capture history? Where did that come from that you thought, you know what, this is something that I just don't want to look at from the outside. I want to be immersed with this Black Lives Matter protest and take photos and chronicle the history of it.
Well, my motivation really came from just realizing how important this was, and it's an important part of our history, like, you know, as we know it. And I think just deciding to go to the protest, I definitely gained a lot from it afterwards, because it was just, when you're there in person, it's just so different from scrolling on your phone and seeing images and videos on social media instead of spectating it. Because when I was there, I could really feel all the emotions from everyone and hear and see all the emotions.
Is this something that before Lynchburg, you know, you would have been persistent about being a part of? You know, if it wasn't, you know, what maybe did you learn in your first year at Lynchburg or gain in terms of your personal growth that not just gave you the idea, but the gumption to actually go do it instead of just talking about it?
Well, I've always been opposed to racial injustice, but I think going to the University of Lynchburg and being part of LHSN, it's given me the platform to, and also confidence to be able to share my ideas with positions of leadership as well as my peers. And I think definitely being surrounded by diversity at Lynchburg and just leaving my hometown, that was definitely a big reason for wanting to do it, and just being able to share this with my peers who may not be able to attend these protests.
Well, like most things that we do at Lynchburg, we don't do them by ourselves. It's usually a team effort. And as we've already discussed on the podcast, you were out there with Reggie Davis, one of our basketball players. I'm curious to know what the process there was like, and who reached out to who, and kind of what was the game plan for the both of you going into the day of the protests.
Well, after hearing about the planned protest on June 7th, I wanted to reach out to Reggie because he's such a talented photographer, and we both went to the same high school, so we've grown up in Greensboro, and I wanted to see if he would want to go take pictures together because, you know, like I said earlier, it's such an important part of history. So I wanted to see if he would want to go together.
Did you guys have like I said, a game plan? Like, you stand over here and I'll stand over here, so we don't take the same pictures. What was that all about?
Well, we met up and we walked to LeBauer Park, which is where the protest was held. And we stuck near each other for the most part, but, you know, we would kind of wander off from each other to get different angles and different people. And I think, you know, we were just trying to capture the different emotions and signs and people of the protest. So it wasn't a super structured plan, but I think the results came out pretty well.
Yes, they absolutely did. And I'm also curious to know what type of, if any, debrief was there. I mean, in my lifetime, when I've been around those moments, it's really hard to just walk away and, all right, no big deal. Don't want to keep talking about this. Don't want to have a further conversation. Did you guys have that conversation? And if you did, what came away from that? What maybe did you learn from him, or did he learn from you in those conversations?
I think definitely just coming from the protest and, you know, just feeling, you know, I've said before, the emotions, just, you know, we owe it to each other to keep listening and learning and supporting each other during this time. And I really, you know, I've learned a lot from Reggie because he has such a skill to capture emotion in his pictures, you know, especially, you know, this Black Lives Matter protest and his other work. It's really good. And, you know, I think just encouraging other people to keep educating themselves, and if they can, go to a protest, because I definitely gained a lot from going, and, you know, I think that's just really important.
Well, in your position as a, you know, white non-varsity student athlete woman, what are some things that you have been thinking about, or that you know already that you can do and other people like you can do to build off of this moment? And certainly it's a huge thing that you guys took it upon yourselves to take action based on words that have already been said. But what else can be done? What can people who are listening today, who are watching this video, what might they be able to do, even if it's small, to make sure that this change keeps moving forward even a month, 2 months, a year from now?
Right. I think it's really important to keep, signing petitions and educating yourselves, reading, there's information that you can read and listening to Black voices. And I think something that I can personally do is keep sharing my images on social media and, having these hard conversations, because, it's hard to do, but I think it needs to be done. And I think one of the most important things that anyone can do is just to hold each other accountable for our words and actions.
Well, you certainly are a shining light in that thought process of those actions, and I appreciate it. Certainly, as someone who was able to see you grow as a freshman with your photography skills, it's great to see you step outside the sports world and do something a little bit different. And I want to know one last thing related to that: the comfort zone piece of it. There are people who aren't really keen on that, on getting outside what they're used to. Do you have advice for them of ways that they can maybe get past that mental block of, I'm really only comfortable in this lane, I don't want to step outside of it?
Right. Attending the protest was definitely out of my comfort zone because I'm used to photographing sports. So it was, I didn't know what to expect, but I think my biggest advice is just to go in with an open mind and be ready to listen and to learn, and, just try not to worry if people are worried about judgment. If you're there for the right reasons, I don't think you need to be worrying about, if it's out of your comfort zone, just go for it.
Well, I like that sentiment. Reggie mentioned that too. Go with your heart and you'll be led in the right direction. So thank you so much for your time, and not just being here today with us, but for taking the time to take those photos and reach out to myself and let me know that those things were taking shape, and we certainly are going to use what we have at our disposal to keep the message moving forward. I know you got work to go to, so I don't want you to wait. I could write you a note, but I don't think it's going to get there in time.
I appreciate it, Joe.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you for everything. You're a great representative of the university, and look forward to seeing more of your work throughout the summer, and certainly when we come back in the fall.
Of course. Thank you so much again.